KIDO Talk Radio, Kevin Miller in the morning. So appreciate you listening to us here. Our great friend, Congressman Raul Labrador, joining us once again a week before the primary. And, one thing that I love talking to you about is going deeper than the politics and everything else. Personally, how long has this road been for you? Your thoughts just as not Congressman Labrador, a candidate, but husband, father, and grandfather, Raul Labrador.
Hey, good morning, Kevin. It's
good morning, sir.
Great to be on your show. And it's been an interesting run. The last year has been long, I think. But the last few weeks have not been as long. I get really excited personally about the last 3 weeks of any campaign. Because you think about all the stuff that you've done to prepare for Election Day. And the last 3 weeks is all about executing your plan. The last 3 weeks are all about going out there and doing the things that you need to do to win. It's been a really fascinating journey. I've had ups and downs during this campaign, just like anybody does. You start getting attacked with lies, which I have been surprised how negative and how bad the lies have been in this campaign. But then 3 weeks ago, I had my granddaughter born. And I was able to, when I held her for the first time, it was almost like the world, there was nothing else happening in the world. And you're holding this little baby, and you see a new generation of your family in your arms. And it's almost like the world stands still. And now every single time that I just need a little bit of break from the campaign, I just go, pick
Right.
her up, and it's amazing. So on a personal level, it's been the best year of my life. A few of the moments in this campaign have been really disappointing to see people that I thought were good people make such outrageous lies about you, and then to not back down, to not have the integrity to actually say, this is wrong, this shouldn't be happening.
Congressman Raul Labrador joining us. If you'd like to have a call, comment, 580-5436, 580-KIDO. But you go back to you as a young man, like a lot of us, you faced a lot of adversity. A lot of us faced a lot of rejection. I mean, to run for state representative, knocking on doors. Most of us will never have to deal with that. And here you are today. Is it too soon to look at perspective here a week away from the governor's race?
It's not too soon. No matter what happens on Tuesday, and I believe we're going to win. I think our poll numbers show that we're going to win. The enthusiasm out there show that we're going to win. But you can't take anything for granted. And that's why we're working hard every single day to make sure that we win this thing. But I was sitting reflecting at home the other day with my wife, and I just thought, I was raised by a single mom. I was born and raised in Puerto Rico. I moved to Idaho after I married my beautiful wife, and we met at BYU in college. And I just think what a privilege it's been to be a state legislator, to be the congressman from the 1st Congressional District. And now I could potentially be the governor of the state that I love so much, that I have, 4 of my 5 children were born here. Now I have a granddaughter that was born here. My entire life and legacy and everything that I have done is in this beautiful state. It was a moment of reflection where I looked at my wife and said, America's great. Idaho is great. Can you imagine Idaho could potentially elect a young man who was born in Puerto Rico, who was raised by a single mom, who worked so hard to make sure that life was always a good life, that I had good choices. My mother was amazing the way that she raised me. And America couldn't be greater. I couldn't be more happy to be alive today.
Well, indeed. And, of course, that hard work paying off. So, for folks that have, just moved in, maybe they don't follow the campaign, maybe they just found us on 107.5 FM, why give up your seat that you fought so hard for, founder of the Freedom Caucus? You've been nationally recognized for your work in the conservative movement. You and Mike Lee passing legislation, working on legislation to protect marriage. You have a lot of turnover in Congress. I'm sure you've answered this many times before, sir. They say, Congressman, you've got it all going on. Why come home?
For two reasons. One is personal. I want to be home with my family every week. I go back to Washington, D.C. every week. I leave my family behind here in Idaho, and I miss them. It's a hard, difficult thing to do. Obviously, I made that choice, so I'm not complaining about it, but it is difficult as a father, as a husband, now as a grandfather, to be away from your family for days and days and days. But the most important thing is that I think Idaho is such a wonderful state. Idaho has such wonderful people, great families, great businesses, but it needs a new direction. And I think that the direction that I can give the state, it's something that will make Idaho stronger in the future. I think having a strong conservative governor that will stop picking winners and losers, that will put the people of Idaho first. I think that's what Idaho really needs at this moment, and I'm excited about providing that kind of leadership. And as you said, Kevin, the record is clear. I heard one of your callers, and you didn't ask him who he was voting for, so I hope that he was voting for me, but he says, I look at what the ACU, I look at what all these different groups are saying, and every one of the conservative groups in America, they're all saying the same thing, that Raul Labrador is a true conservative, that Raul Labrador has a record that speaks volumes about what his politics are and what his commitments are. It's really easy, Kevin, to come here on your station or to do an ad that says that you're a true conservative. Anybody can do that. You pay somebody to do that. But I'm not paying these groups to say the things that they're saying. All these groups are unanimous that my conservative record is as strong or stronger than anybody else in the United States, and it definitely doesn't even compare to the other two candidates because they don't have a strong conservative record that they can back.
Before we get to the calls, and we'll get to Steve and Russell and others at 580-5436, Congressman, let's talk about your first 100 days. I know what you'll do. Others have known. But again, for people that are just tuning in because it's a week before your first 100 days, how will that be different from perhaps anything we've ever seen?
Well, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure that every head of agency turns in their resignation. And if they want the job, and I want some of them to apply for the job, they need to tell me two things. Number one, how they're going to cut 5% of the budget in their agency, or tell me why they can't. Give me a good reason why they can't. And number two, tell me how they're going to improve the lives of Idahoans, how they're going to improve the service that agency gives to the people of Idaho. Right now what we have is a bunch of bureaucrats in some of these agencies that are used to saying no. And the reality is that people in government want to serve, but we need to give them a vision for how they can serve better the people of Idaho. And I think that's the first thing I'm going to do. The second thing, I'm going to work with the legislature to start enacting my comprehensive tax approach of reducing taxes to 555, 5% corporate, 5% individual, 5% sales tax, and also to get rid of the grocery sales tax, the sales tax on groceries. And I think what we're going to do is we're going to completely change the way Boise looks at the way that they do business. We're going to stop picking winners and losers. We're going to stop letting special interest groups and a handful of lobbyists decide the destiny of Idaho. We're going to start listening to the people of Idaho. So I'm very excited about the first 100 days.
Let's go to the phones with Congressman Labrador. We go to Steve in Meridian. Good morning, Steve.
Hey, Kevin. Thanks for the call. Congressman Labrador, really inspired by the way you talk on Kevin's show, and I think hands down you crush Little and Alquist. They're typically low energy, complaining, etc., and I'm very inspired by what I hear every time you call in, and I'm voting for you. My question to you, sir, is because I think you would crush Little if it was one-on-one, and you would crush Alquist as well. I think they're either weak or dishonest. My question is, how do you really go at this stage of the game? It's a three-way race. That's in my opinion, the only way you could possibly lose is because some voters, pick one of the other guys instead of you. How do you really approach a three-way race and get yourself out of the pack and not get lost in the shuffle?
Hey, thank you, Stephen. Thank you so much for your kind words. I think I do it the way I've been doing it. I stand honorably. I speak the truth. I tell people what I believe. I always answer the questions that people ask me. You know, I've been doing this for 12 years as a member of the legislature and as a congressman. And what I love is most people understand that I haven't changed. I'm still the same guy. I probably have more knowledge because once you can't learn, help but learn more as you're going through the legislative battles. But the reality is that I'm still the same guy from 12 years ago that just loved his wife, loved his family, loved this country, loved this state, and just wants to serve the people of Idaho. And I think when you speak truth to power, when you tell people exactly what you believe, and you don't try to deceive them about who you are, I think the people of Idaho, they're really smart, and they understand truth from fiction. Idaho can't be bought. You can't just spend a bunch of money and try to buy an election in Idaho. That's why I love this state, and I'm so honored to serve them, and I will continue to be honored to serve them if they give me that opportunity come May and November, come May 15th and November.
Awesome, man. Hope you're the guy. Really appreciate you serving in this way. It's a big job, and we need somebody to take it on awesomely. Thanks again, buddy.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Steve. We go to our old friend, one of your most loyal supporters, Russell in Kuna at KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning, Russell.
Good morning, and thank you for that introduction. And yes, Raul, I'll be voting for you. I've been following your career from way back when, and you have a proven track record. It is conservative. And that is the reason that I am voting for you and encouraging my family and friends to. I just wanted to make a comment that I received a call from the Tommy Ahlquist campaign in the form of a, survey. And the questions were quite leading towards Tommy Ahlquist. And my answer to the person doing the survey always was Raul Labrador. And finally, at the end, he says, "Are you going to say anything other than just Raul Labrador?" And I said, "Raul Labrador. He's the man."
That's Russell. That's our friend Russell.
Thank you, Russell. That's awesome. You know, we're having so much fun. We've had all these events, and I think right now the reason maybe I like the last 3 weeks of the campaign is because this is when people are really paying attention. You know, I look at this campaign, and I think people have been looking at all three candidates. All three candidates are good people that are trying to do the right thing. But I think what you test during that campaign is the character of the individuals. And what's fascinating is that you look at my two opponents. They have each been verified to have false ads against me. And the only person who hasn't been verified to have false ads in this campaign is me. We have, some of our statements are hard-hitting. I'm telling the truth about my opponents, but I'm never going to stoop to the moment that I'm going to start lying about my opponents. I said this 12 years ago, Kevin, and I believe it today, that I would rather lose an election than lose my character and integrity. I want to, at the end of the day, I want to look into the mirror and know that I have done what's right and told the truth and been true to myself. And I'm proud of the campaign that we've run, and I thank people like Steve and Russell for their support.
All right, Russell, thank you for the call. You're quite popular here this morning, Congressman. Let's go to Doug in Boise at KIDO Talk Radio with Congressman Labrador.
Yeah. Hello, Congressman.
Good morning.
My question is, what is your specific position on the removal of the lower 4 Snake River dams?
Thank you, Doug. I am opposed to the removal of the 4 lower the Snake River dams, and I have said so publicly. I have written an op-ed about it. I have said it in my statements. I even sponsored legislation in Congress that would protect them. I think our water rights are extremely important in Idaho, and I think that there's been some confusion out there over the last few years from the Otter administration about who keeps their water. And I think it's pretty clear in Idaho, the law is clear in Idaho, and we need to protect it. The first in time is first in right, and we need to ensure that the people of Idaho and their water rights are being protected.
Okay, thank you.
All right, Doug, thank you. More with Congressman Labrador next. KIDO Talk Radio. Hey. KIDO Talk Radio. Congressman Raul Labrador joining us, candidate for Congress, as we move along. Before we get back to Bob, Faith, and Mark, how has this changed you at all? Because you, again, we talk about the Lou Dobbs quote, education is the great liberator in our country. You're an example of that. But how has this made you maybe a better family person, going out there with this ultimate form of acceptance or rejection, putting your name on a ballot at the state rep level, at the congressional level, and now at the statewide level? Has that impacted you personally at all?
Well, it has. I mean, obviously, you have to be a little bit more careful what you do and what you say in public, because you realize that everyone is watching. And when you let your guard down, sometimes you let people come up to you and they talk to you, and all of a sudden they remind you that people are watching. But it's been awesome in some cases. It's been difficult in some cases. It's been hard as a father to miss a lot of the things that my kids are doing. I'm spending 75% of my time in Washington, D.C. I miss a lot of their games. I miss a lot of their activities. And I do worry about that. Has that affected my relationship with my children? I've tried to be present at the most important events, and I don't know if you have heard this, I may have missed a couple of votes because I tried to be present at, I don't know, some people may be talking about that, but
yes.
But I have tried to be present at their most important games and events. But the reality is that I have missed a lot, and that has been difficult. So it's been really great in some instances. It's been difficult in others, but I have always loved the people and loved serving people. Going to Costco, going to the grocery store, going to Fred Meyer. Everywhere I go, I just have everyday Idahoans thanking me for my service, and I have loved doing the things that I've been doing.
Let's go back to the phones, and we go to Mark in Boise at KIDO Talk Radio with Congressman Labrador. Good morning, Mark.
Thanks for taking my call. I wanted to explain why I'm not voting for Congressman Labrador. And that's a statement you made on this radio show a couple of months ago where you talked about how to drive economic growth in Idaho. And you had said that if you would focus on tax cuts first, and then that would attract businesses. And then from that, presumably that additional tax revenue and the economic growth, then you would invest in education. And I think that's fundamentally wrong. I think this state desperately needs an injection of investment, certainly in education, certainly in transportation. I'm on staff. The first thing you're going to do after firing everybody is to lower taxes, and that's going to get us an economic benefit. Is fundamentally wrong.
Well, Mark, so you want to go along with what we've been doing so far. We're still in the bottom 10 of GDP. We're still in the bottom 10 of per capita income. We're still in the bottom 10 of minimum wage jobs. And the reality is that we're spending 63% of our budget on education. Do you want to spend 70% of our budget, or do you want to increase people's taxes? Tell me how you would solve it.
Well, I don't think you're going to increase people's revenues or their personal incomes. I don't think you're going to get people off of minimum wage by lowering taxes.
You are by creating good jobs. And if you look at the history, because I can only look at history, not just theory, Utah did the same thing I'm proposing 25 years ago. They got rid of all their tax loopholes.
In their education system. University of Utah is a top-tier research institution. That did not come from cutting taxes.
Well, they did cut taxes 25 years ago. The same plan that I'm proposing for Idaho is the plan that Utah did 25 years ago, and it's been amazing for the state of Utah, and trust me, it's going to be great for Idaho. But thank you for your thought. I hope that you're happy with your choice. I believe that you and I just will have to agree to disagree in this race. But thank you for your thoughts.
All right, Mark, thank you. Traffic and weather together. And we continue on here with Congressman Labrador. More phone calls here. Let's go to Bob in Meridian. Bob, good morning. You're on KIDO Talk Radio with Congressman Labrador.
Congressman and Kevin, thank you for taking my call. I'm glad that guy that just talked brought up Utah, because if I remember right, Utah is, I think, last in spending on education, but yet has one of the top educational systems in the nation. So maybe that's what we ought to do, is take a look at Utah and find out how we can more wisely spend our money on education. But the reason I called is I want to thank the congressman. Your conservative voice will be sorely missed back in Washington, but I'm glad that you have the opportunity to become our governor and spend more time with your family. But your Secure America's Future Act is brilliant. The three gentlemen and you that brought that forward, it's just really nice to see that people are thinking back there, because it seems like that's lost lately. And I was just wondering how we might help bring that to fruition, get that thing passed, because I think it'll solve most of our immigration problems.
So thank you, Bob. The Secure Americas Act is a bill that I co-sponsor with the chairman of the Judiciary Committee, the chairman of the Homeland Security Committee, and another subcommittee chairwoman in the House of Representatives. It's the bill that President Trump has gotten behind as the solution to our immigration problems. It protects the border. It builds the wall. It closes all the loopholes that are out there vis-a-vis immigration. And it also does something about the DACA population that is here. It's a great piece of legislation, and I've been laughing over the last couple of weeks when Brad Little has attacked me as being a liberal on immigration, which no one has ever called me a liberal on immigration. But my favorite thing, Kevin, and you and I were talking about this off the air, is when KTVB fact-checked this ad and said, we can verify that Raul Labrador is a conservative on immigration. I don't think I've ever heard a network verify somebody's conservatism, but the ad was so false and so preposterous that KTVB had to say that it was false.
Bob, anything else?
Yeah, just looking forward to having you as our next governor.
Thank you, Bob, and thank you for your support, and thank you for your help in this race. And everybody, I just thank them for everything they have done for me, and it's amazing to see so many people out there excited and rallying for a victory on May 15th.
All right, thank you. Much more coming up next with Congressman Labrador. You're listening to Kevin Miller on KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning, Maggie.
Good.
And we continue on our final segment with Congressman Labrador. We'll make sure we get all your phone calls in. Let's go to Faith in Meridian. Faith in Meridian, thank you for joining us here at KIDO Talk Radio.
Hi, Kevin, Congressman. Thank you for taking my call. I have a question. I heard, Congressman, that if you got elected, you would change the retirement for the firefighters. And I was wondering if this is true, and if it is, how you would change it.
Hey, thank you, Faith. That's a great question. There's a false rumor out there that I want to change the retirement for firefighters. I met with the union representatives when I first ran for this for this race, and I actually told them the opposite of what people are saying. I told them that I don't want to change the retirement. I do want to strengthen it. I want to make sure that we protect it, that we don't turn like other states. And I don't know whether it was somebody who was in that meeting or somebody who heard something out of that meeting. They started making these false accusations. So actually one of the gentlemen who was in the meeting had to write a letter to the union and to the union members to tell them that I never said that in the meeting. And I thank him. I thank him for actually setting the record straight. I have never said that publicly or privately. What I want to do is make sure that we have a strong retirement program here in Idaho and that we protect it. So I thank Rob Shoplock for actually writing the letter. He has known me the 12 years that I have been in public office. We have been friends, and he was dismayed that somehow out of that meeting it came out that I wanted to do something that I never said in the meeting that I was going to do.
Okay, well, that clears it up. Thank you very much.
Hey, thank you for that wonderful question.
Thank you, Faith. We continue on. We go to Cheryl in Nampo for Congressman Labrador at KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning, Cheryl.
Good morning.
Good morning.
So my question is, this morning earlier I was getting ready to go to work, and I work every day. I get in my car, and it takes me now $70 a week to drive to and from work, whereas here, a month ago, it was costing me $50. the gas prices just keep going up and up and up. We are one of the highest in the national level. I know here in Nampa, we're one of the highest in Idaho. What are you going to do about prices?
That's a great question. So some of it I have no control over, or government has no control over. But you have a cartel that gets us the gas, the petroleum that we use for gas. Yeah, and it always seems like during the summer gas prices go up. But the reality is that we do have the highest gas prices in Idaho than most of our neighbors, and we need to look at what's happening in Idaho. Some of it is because we don't have a refinery here. We don't process gas here in the state. We don't. We have to get it from outside of the state. But some of it I need to look at, and we need to take a deep dive into it. I don't have a solution for it right now, but I do have, just as she does, I have some questions about why we always seem to have the highest gas prices. What I will not do, though, is raise your gas taxes, which my opponents are probably willing to do, because I think we, at least Brad Little said that in the debate, that he thinks we need to raise gas taxes, and I don't want to do that.
No, good. That's very good to know. I mean, my husband's already said he's voting for you no matter what. I'm on the fence leaning towards you, but, like I told him, I wanted to find out a few things, first before I make my decision, and that is one of them. It's, an extra $100 out of our pocket. My husband's disabled. I'm the only one working in the family. We have two, daughters and teenage daughters nonetheless. And, so it's a struggle to live day to day. And every time, I see those gas prices go up, I just want to cry. I really do. It's affecting us.
I understand. And please go to our website, RaulLabrador.com. You can get a lot of information on what I have done. But one of the things that I did when I was in the state legislature, I was the leader of the conservative movement that killed the governor's gas tax increase. So I have been fighting against gas tax increases and tax increases the whole time I have been in office. That's why I want to lower your taxes. That's why I thought it was weird when Mark, I think it was, who said that he didn't want to vote for me because I want to lower people's taxes. I'm going to make sure that you have more money in your pocket, and that's what I'm fighting for. So I hope I can earn your support and your trust. Mm-hmm.
Well, like I said, I'm pretty much leaning towards you, but I absolutely will go. And my husband and I had already talked about going to the website tonight and looking everything out. But good luck. I know that my husband's very strong for you. So I'm probably going that way as well. Thank you so much.
Hey, thank you. Nice talking to you.
All right, Cheryl, thank you. A couple more questions quickly for Congressman Labrador, and then you're back on the trail. Let's go to Andrew in Boise for Congressman Labrador at KIDO Talk Radio.
Hey, how's it going?
Great. What can we do for you?
Hey, so I had a question. I wanted to see where your stance was on this. My wife has fibromyalgia, very, very sick. She takes hydrocodone, morphine, ibuprofen, a lot of pills. And that could be a slippery slope going down and taking all those pain pills. But we discovered CBD oil at stake, and she takes that, and everything seems to go away. No THC or anything, just the CBD oil. Where do you stand on legalizing that in Idaho, or where do you stand on that on CBD oil without the THC?
Thank you for the question. I am for legalizing CBD oil. I would have signed the legislation that I think passed a couple of years ago that the governor vetoed, and I would have fought hard to make sure this year that the legislation that was introduced that passed the House overwhelmingly and was stopped in the Senate, I would have worked and actively participated in making sure that passed in the state of Idaho. So I am 100% behind making sure that legislation passes next year. And I think you asked earlier, Kevin, what I want to do in the first 100 days. That's one of the things I want to do is make sure that CBD oil legislation passes the Idaho legislature, and I will sign it.
That is huge. That's great. Awesome.
Thank you, Andrew.
Thank you, Andrew. We appreciate that. Quickly to Christian in Weiser for Congressman Labrador at KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning, Christian.
Good morning. So I've been on the fence on who I'm going to vote for. And I'm happy to tell you that this morning, while listening to you, Mr. Labrador, that you are going to have my vote. And what really knocked me off the fence is when Kevin asked you what you're going to do in your first 100 days, listening to the previous interview and his answer, and then yours. Basically, it sounds like you said you're going to drain the swamp.
Yes.
For the resignation and start over fresh. And that is how our republic was set up to be run, I believe. You know, and, so I just have one question. How do you feel about term limits?
I am for term limits. I believe that a governor should serve no more than 8 years in office, and I believe that legislative bodies should have 12-year limits, both at the state level and at the congressional level.
Awesome. You, sir, have my vote, and I'm looking forward to seeing Idaho prosper under your guidance.
Thank you, Christian. That means a lot to me.
All right, Christian. Now, we're breaking the rules, but this gentleman always finds a way to get in, has undue influence on me. That's the sweet prince of the Treasure Valley, the founder of the Gem State Patriot, the publisher of Freedom. Good morning, sir. We don't even have to tell your name, do we, Tea Party Bob?
Good morning, good morning. How are you, gentlemen?
Doing great. How are you, Bob?
Well, I'm doing better than most, worse than some. Just sitting here listening to all of the comments. And what I'd like to do is just compliment you on putting forth a platform and a definitive plan to move Idaho out of the economic hole it has been in for the past 20 years. It's high time that we get rid of the crony state government that has been so oppressive on the working people of this state. I look forward to your economic plan for our state and will be working for your election. I just hope you will have success in getting the cronies out of this government, unlike Trump, who has got the deep state. I think we probably have a pretty deep state here, too. Many of these people have been in these jobs way too long. And you're going to have to use a pry bar to get some of them out, at least in my opinion. But I want to thank you for all of your input. I think that you've got a lead going here, and I want you to keep it. So whatever I can do to help, you can count on me. Thank you again, and have a great day.
That's a great question.
Well, thank you, Bob. We are excited about what's happening. We are going to work to make sure that things in Boise change, and I need you to do 3 things for me, Bob, and everyone who's listening. First, vote early. Make sure that you get out there and vote. I don't want you on May 16th to say, oh, I forgot to vote for Labrador. I want you to vote early so you don't forget, or at least make sure you go to the polls early on May 15th. Number 2, please call all of your friends. Make sure that you tell everybody you know, and I know that Tea Party Bob is telling everybody he knows, but everyone needs to call their friends and make sure that they also get out to vote and they vote for us. And number 3, go to the website and look at all the different ways that you can help. You can donate, you can make phone calls, you can do so many things to make sure that we finish strong. We're winning right now, but the reality is that it's too close for comfort. We want to make sure that we finish this race strong, and I want to make sure that everybody's out there making sure that within the next week that we finish the race strong and we win this race and we do the things that are necessary to make Idaho stronger and more prosperous. So thank you for having me on your show, Kevin.
Thank you, sir. And once again, we'd invite you to our Unity breakfast before the Unity rally. We know that you are always a party guy. We again invite you. We hope to see you there, and good luck on the trail, sir.
Thank you.
You're listening to Kevin Miller on KIDO Talk Radio. KIDO Talk Radio, Kevin Miller in the morning. Thank you, Ray Amaya. We need to probably play that now until the end of the general election season. What we're trying to do is just show you that nobody ever says that they're a liberal. Everybody's a conservative. Everybody's a Republican. Everybody's pro-life. Everybody's this. But are they really? Joining us now, the truth detector of the Treasure Valley, pro-life on KIDO Talk Radio. Thanks for your patience.
Yeah. Are they really? That's a good question. I asked the question of all 3 of them what they would do about transgender surgeries, and all they said was, well, if it isn't done with taxpayer money, then we're not going to do anything about it. Now, that's not the right answer. The answer should be, no, we're going to have legislation that's going to outlaw transgender surgeries. Now, and if one of them would say, if I become the governor, there's going to be no more dead babies in Idaho, I would support that person totally. But we're dealing with a culture that is all compromised and modified. You know, the Republican Party is a socialist, fascist kind of a party.
Wow.
And you're just going to have to accept that you're going to get some modification of those philosophies. And so there really isn't anywhere to turn except, you know, we need a third party that would really, but the people would have to wake up, and they're even awake enough, but they don't want to give up all of their goodies that they get through government. So that's the problem, and they don't want to really stand for life. They don't want to say that abortion is murder. And, you know, what's interesting is nobody has asked any of the candidates about add the words. And if you don't know what add the words means, that means, will we have a law that will say that you can't discriminate against sexually confused people for housing, employment, and things like that. But I think a person should be able to discriminate on those bases and other bases. And government is just way too out of hand. And so I don't know where we turn. We just have to, rather than, we need Nonini, but we need somebody else better than Nonini. We need Jesus Christ.
So you're going with Nonini.
Yeah, because he's the best on the life issue. But
so you're saying
really,
Idaho needs Nonini?
No, Idaho needs Jesus Christ. That's who we really need.
Right, but he's not on the ballot, respectfully speaking.
No, and none of them are going to really represent him. So I don't know what you do. You just have to.
Well, you're endorsing Nonini.
No, I'm endorsing Jesus Christ. But
you just said that you're going to vote for Nonini. Can you just give me that?
Yeah, if I was going to vote, but I can't vote in the Republican primary because I'm too conservative for that. I'm a Constitution Party, but I would vote for Nonini.
Yeah, that's a wasted statement then.
No, it isn't.
It is.
No, if we don't hold the principle, if everybody's always going to compromise, that's what we get. This kind of society, and I don't like it.
Huh.
So what do you think about all that?
I don't know.
Kevin, you still there?
I'm just trying to get everything in.
Yeah, I know it's a big, but hey, politics is our religion. We don't talk like this at church, and this is how we should talk at church. Church is just a social club, but our real religion is what we're going to do about government, and nobody really wants to say, hey, this is right and wrong. There's black and white in government. It's just all a big.
It's all a big
economic
joke.
Yeah,
it's all a big economic
like
slush fund.
Right.
You've kind of woken up on the wrong side of the bed this morning. How about a blast from the past to give you a little smile?
Minnick is a gimmick.
Remember that one?
Minnick is a gimmick.
Yeah.
Walt Minnick.
He was a good boy.
Yeah, he was. Well, I mean, hey, you get at 85 miles an hour socialist and Democrats at 100 miles an hour, and so, hey, you only got 15 miles an hour difference in between them.
All right, pro-life, God bless.
All right, get them out of here. Get them out. Get them out. Send them back to Bernie.
Traffic and weather together. And I'm Kevin Miller here at KIDO Talk Radio. Once again, thank you, Thursdays. Boise Music Festival tickets will be yours. And coincidentally enough, on Thursday, we'll be at one of the newest schools in the Treasure Valley, St. Ignatius Catholic School in Meridian, Idaho. We will be there from 5 to 9, thanks to CapEd Credit Union, Team Mazda Subaru, and Grade Power Learning. Repeat after me once again in Meridian, Idaho. Do appreciate everybody listening. Coming up tomorrow, we've got the Lieutenant Governor, Brad Little. We have Bob Nonini. That's right. No nonsense. Nonini will join us. Plus, your calls about the issues that matter to you, Treasure Valley. It's always a blessing to be able to share the morning with you and your family. Ray Amaya, great job as always. Thank you all for listening. May God bless you and keep the faith.